Bachelorette is the latest along the increasingly long string of hard R raunchy comedies to hit audiences. In this one, Rebel Wilson is about to get married, and she has to count on her three closest friends from high school as bridesmaids. The problem is, none of them really have their stuff together. You have Kirsten Dunst as the head of the pack. She's incredibly jealous, rude, and uptight. You have Lizzy Caplan as the one who has that rebel mentality that keeps on making bad decisions, but she's aware of it. And then there's Isla Fisher's like the kind of the baby of the group, likes to drink and do drugs all the time. And life is just a non-stop party for her. Other supporting characters include Adam Scott, James Marsden, and Kyle Bornheimer, who were fun enough in their roles. These girls are not the people you want in charge of your wedding, and yet here they are. Sometime after the bachelorette party, they end up tearing and staining the bride's wedding dress, and then they spend the night trying to get the dress fixed, but they end up in all these zany situations. And the problem isn't helped by the fact that two of the characters are high for half the movie. And I thought I was going to have like a really hard time not comparing this to Bridesmaids, but it really is different enough. In terms of being a female-led rated R comedy revolving around a wedding, they're similar. In terms of how they're advertising it, they're similar. In terms of how both movies actually play out, they do enough things different. But my problem with this movie is that it's a cartoon for the first half. Like, they're just, ooh, and everything for the first half of the movie. In some scenes, anytime anyone is talking to Lizzy Caplan or Isla Fisher, they're just dancing and swaying and just trying to act really wired the whole time. Caplan eventually stops, but Fisher keeps going for much of it, and it's more annoying and kind of sad than funny, but that's the character she got stuck with. But eventually the laughter comes to a halt and the movie becomes a bit more serious when certain things from the past come out and the characters have to look at their past demons. And I like this part of the movie because it actually felt realistic. Like, Kirsten Dunst brings up something from the past and I was like, oh, shoot. Like, it was the kind of thing that you could tell always stayed in the back of their minds, but they just never really talked about it. And this is when I really started to get into the movie. But at that point it was kind of just like too little too late. But in the end, it's really mediocre, and the studio knows this. It's a rental, so that's why they put it on video on demand before putting it into an extremely limited amount of theaters this Friday. I got some chuckles and I got some heart out of this, but at the same time I got a lot of things that just baffled me with these characters and hardly made any sense. I mean, it's cool to be raunchy and dirty, but not for the sake of being raunchy and dirty. Your jokes need to have better context if I'm supposed to believe any of this. Like the airplane scene, it was kind of funny, but what the heck were they talking about that led up to those two having that conversation about a certain sex act that loudly on an airplane filled with strangers? And the movie just did that kind of thing too much. So I'm going to push and give this a 2.5 out of 5. It's not a bad movie, it's just something I really can't recommend. Maybe its target demographic will appreciate this more than I did, but that's just my take on it. And if you like this review and you want to see more, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it.